Welcome, everybody, to another edition of Talking with Heroes talk show program. I am Bob Calvert, your host on TalkingWithHeroes.com, our online news site. Thank you for your service.us. Ted is behind the camera. And we're still here at Forward Operating Base Meghar Lam in Laghman Province, Afghanistan. We just finished filming the radio program here. And we thank Habib, the interpreter, for doing a great job. And so what we're going to do now is talk to First Lieutenant Brian Knipp. Welcome, sir, to Talking with Heroes.
Yes, thank you.
You can tell people a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and how long you've served.
I've been in the Army National Guard for 7 years from Kansas. Spent most of that time with the Kansas Guard. I'm over here as an agronomist with Kansas ADT. Basically, I just go out there and try and help the farmers improve, much like an extension agent does back home. We're more behind the scenes now that we're starting to transition things over. Where the extension agents are stepping up and doing more here, and so we can step back and just kind of watch the progress.
Okay, you said ADT for people back home. What does that mean?
It's an agribusiness development team.
So National Guard, you're not full-time active duty, so you probably have a job or a business back home, right?
Well, I used to before I came here. Whenever I go back, I'll probably end up going to get my master's at Kansas State University.
Okay, but you're using your studies, your degree as an agronomist to help the Afghan farmers here.
Yes, I am.
Okay, talk about the program. You're an active part of this program, right? Helping with it?
Yes, the radio show, we have 5 ag professionals that come on here, and they're local authorities that come on here and do the radio show. They talk about animal husbandry, problems with the crops, diseases, how to fix them, and just general agricultural knowledge.
Okay, now you mentioned earlier that you were kind of behind the scenes. Does that mean at one point you were leading the way, now you're not, you're more supporting them?
This is the third ADT, Kansas ADT here. The first one was more in front, developing. Second one was a little bit less. Third, now we're more behind the scenes, more of a mentoring rather than up front.
Okay, and that's what we want to see, right? So eventually you don't have to be coming back.
Yes, that's what we want. We want to work ourselves out of a job.
Great. Okay. All right, and what about care packages? Are you getting them? Any particular organizations, and what does it mean to you?
Yes, actually, I'm getting care packages from my family, of course, and then a teacher from back home. It's our next door neighbor growing up. She has her class send over care packages through the Red Cross.
Excellent. Okay. Anything you'd like to say to the American people as far as continuing to support our troops over here?
Just continue supporting. We need it, and we really appreciate the support.
Why don't you give a shout out to family and friends back home?
Just like to give a shout out to my family back in Hutch and be home soon.
Okay. Well, thank you for your service to our country.
Thank you.
I appreciate you letting us do this with them. It's good for people back home to see a little bit about what's happening here.
I am Staff Sergeant Greg Zuercher. I am from Whitewater, Kansas, and I serve in the Kansas Army National Guard, and I've been a guardsman now for 20 years.
Okay, and this is your second deployment? You had first deployment was in Iraq, did you say?
Yes, I deployed with the 2nd 137th Infantry in Iraq. I was in Baghdad from November 05 through November of 06.
Okay, and talk about your deployment here in Afghanistan, what you do, and just talk about some of the projects, some of the progress you're seeing.
I'm part of the ag team as the Assistant PAO. I'm also a military journalist and unit historian. I go out on missions occasionally with the unit to project sites to cover them, take photographs. Sometimes we'll do stories and releases on them. But it's basically to keep abreast of what's going on with the unit. My big focus right now is writing the unit history, and I also produce a 1-month unit newsletter. And the newsletter has become kind of a I guess, a labor of love, you might say. I really enjoy that part.
Is this newsletter for your troops, or is it for anybody?
It's mainly for the family readiness group. It's mainly for the families and supporters back home. But of course, every soldier receives a newsletter, and I have no idea how many people actually it reaches, but we're certain it reaches over 1,000 families right now.
Okay, talk about some of the projects you've been doing here.
We do a lot of canal projects. We'll do, and we have a lot of animal husbandry projects with the Coochies, the regular nomads in the country and the region. We do leaf facilities. Big outreach are the extension centers, district centers in the districts to try to get those up and running, working with the ag extension people. Of course, we work with the local gyro officials and the DALE. That stands for the Department of Agriculture, Irrigation, and Livestock. So we integrate a lot of things together to try to forward projects, and a lot of cash for work projects. Those have more of a low cost but higher impact, quicker impact on the local economy.
Now, your background for doing this, do you have an agricultural background?
Yes, I come from a farm family. We own a farm. My dad's side have been farmers and ranchers as long as they've lived in Kansas, well over 100 years. We have a farm that we lease. We raise corn, wheat, soybeans, and sorghum, and we'll have a lot of relatives that farm too in that part of the state that's near Whitewater, Kansas.
Okay. And I've noticed in past times over here, pretty much everybody with ADT's farming backgrounds, and but you're really helping the farmers a lot here.
Well, we do our best. It's a challenge with the security situation the way it is, but a lot of what we do is mentoring and assisting the Afghans to try to show them better ways to, say, produce a wheat crop. And, before we came over here, we talked about, they've been farming for millennium. Yeah. I mean, they've been doing this a lot longer than we have in America, so they know how to grow wheat. We're just trying to mentor them maybe on some of the better, more technological improvement ways on how to raise a wheat crop. Instead of broadcast seeding, maybe basically go into row cropping, use better methods of fertilizer and things like that, and also seed selection. Seed selection is a big issue here. They've been using some seed that's not of the best quality for a long time, and we're trying to get them to use certified seed that has better germination rates. So those are some of the main things that we're trying to teach them.
Okay, now you wear another hat. You said Assistant PAO. What do you do with that?
I help the PAO sometimes with stories. We shoot photographs together. If he can't cover an event, I will. Basically, that's it. We're covering the deployment and what we're doing with photographs and stories and words. We write the stories.
Okay, so you're National Guard, which means you're not full-time. So what do you do when you get back home?
I work for AT&T in their fiber optics division in Wichita, and it's an exciting field. It's fairly recession-proof, I think, so I'm pretty comfortable that that industry is going to be viable for quite some time.
That means you're a tech, kind of?
Tech and sales, too. I also work with the sales department because basically AT&T owns a lot of the fiber networks around the country. They lease them to other companies, but they're trying to get as many people in the cities hooked up to the fiber network as possible.
So we hear some about National Guard coming home and the jobs are gone, but your job's okay.
I think so. Yeah. I'm pretty certain it is.
Okay. What about care packages? Are you getting them here? Any particular organizations, and what does it mean to you?
Of course, we get families and friends that send packages, but we've gotten some from churches. I know the Commander's Church, I think, has supplied quite a few care packages, and then the previous unit that was here before us, we still get care packages from a church from one of those members. And of course, what we do is unless a care package is targeted for a specific soldier, if it's just to the unit, we go ahead and put them out in boxes, organize them by box by say deodorant with deodorant and the shaving cream. And then we just go on the honor system. So whatever soldiers need, hopefully we have it here.
We were talking yesterday with some of the soldiers, and you don't really have much of a PX here, so like the care packages is almost like your PX, right?
Pretty much. The PX is basically a Connex, and I think it's open. It's open from 1,500 hours to 1,700 hours Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays.
Okay.
So they just have just the bare basics, you know, shower shoes, sandals, towels, personal hygiene items, cigarettes, chewing tobacco, I think, and that's pretty much it.
Okay. Since I've been out here, I've gotten messages from a couple groups. One was Soldiers Angels, and then another one overnight, Goodies for Our Troops. They wanted me to say that if you get on their Facebook page and contact them, they'll start sending cookies and other probably items that you really like.
Well, that'd be great. I mean, you know, cookies never go out of style, and of course the stuff we get eventually is going to get used by us, or occasionally we'll give them away to a few of the Afghan interpreters, but most of it's for us.
Okay, great. Is there anything else you'd like to say to the American people, maybe about continuing to support the mission here, supporting you all and your families back home?
Well, I would say this, that being on a previous deployment to Iraq as well as here, my impressions of America and Americans have changed since then. And to me, there is no more giving people in the world than Americans when we put our minds to it. It's like I told you yesterday. I've seen the greatness of America, and all we are is an extension of the American people. And what we do for the people, it's just there's a natural goodness to most of us, I think. You know, it's just inherent, the way we're raised, and it comes out on deployments. You see what we do with the people. A lot of little acts of kindnesses, you know, that help, you know, build friendships and relationships. They know that we're not here to exploit them. We're here to help them, and that comes through. And I'm very proud of that. I wish most Americans could see some of the things we've seen, you know, and how what we do is just an extension of them, and the morale comes from the people. I think, you know, if we didn't have the support from our family, friends, and the people in general, you know, it would be a very lonely experience here, I think. So, the support from home does not go unnoticed. Let's just put it that way.
Okay. Speaking of home, would you like to give a shout out to family and friends back home, and just look right in the camera?
Well, I don't know if I want to shout, but I will say that I will say to my mother Rosemary, that I love her very much. I appreciate her support. My brother Mark, he and I are going on a Grand Canyon backpacking trip in a month after I get back. And I'll just say to my brother Mark, Sister Lynn, brother Todd, Sister Ann, Sister Jean, brother Paul, and Sister Joan, and all my in-laws, thank you for your support, and I can't wait to see you guys again.
A big family.
Yes, I'm one of 8 kids.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for your service to our country, and I look forward to continuing to work with you while we're here.
You're welcome. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Once again, folks, you've been hearing it on TalkingWithHeroes.com from here in Afghanistan. And I ask this a lot. Please help get these videos out across the country. I want to thank, before we go off the air on this episode, Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University for making this trip possible. It's embryriddle.edu. For any veteran, for anybody coming out of the military, looking to get into the civilian world, and you're looking maybe to go back to school, I'd highly recommend you go to embryriddle.edu and check it out. Also, Mark Lydon has a book called Veterans Do This, Get Hired. It's dothisgethired.com. He writes from personal experience of recruiting for 15 years for a major corporation on how veterans can do better with their resume and getting hired. So I want to thank everybody from Afghanistan on TalkingWithHeroes.com, and we'll be back with more.